Selina Begum. You all probably know about her already. We're going to show a quick clip of who she is and what she's accomplished so far.
Here is a good news story for you, because I'm joined now by Selina Begum, who's 16 and has just taken on the top debaters from Eton College and a bunch of other top public schools as well.
To the Newham sixth former who has just won one of the country's most prestigious debating competitions, Selina Begum.
চলতি মাসের শুরু থেকেই তিন সহপাঠীকে নিয়ে বিশ্বখ্যাত ইটন কলেজের বার্ষিক বিতর্কে অংশ নেন। তার ক্ষুরধার যুক্তি মুগ্ধ করে বিচারক প্যানেলকে এককভাবে সেরা বিতর্কিকের পুরস্কারও ছিনিয়ে নেন সেলিনা।
And my speech specifically was about abolishing the death penalty in the US, and then we had to participate in 2 debates where we were given motions and 15 minutes preparation time. You don't know what they're going to ask, so you're literally just given 15 minutes to prepare a side that you might not necessarily agree with. So the 2 we were given was about private lives of those in the public eye and about banning junk food in schools, and then they had like a final summary of the best speakers from all rounds, and then I was in the top 6, and then I managed to win.
Hi, welcome back. Oh my gosh, Selina Begum is here. Hi, how are you?
I'm really good.
How amazing is that? That's wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we have your brother here, Minhaj. Hi.
Yeah, hi.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
You must be so proud of your sister.
Yeah, I'm happy for her.
Yeah?
Yeah.
A lot of pressure as well, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So Selina, thank you so much for coming on. Look, we've had a little chat earlier on, and I think it's wonderful what you're doing. Can I just say to everyone, it's Selina's birthday today. She's 17 years old, so happy birthday.
Thank you.
Are you going to be celebrating afterwards?
Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay, so you go to Newham Collegiate Sixth Form.
Yeah.
You're studying maths, economics, politics and history.
Yeah.
And you've recently won a debating competition at Eton.
Yeah.
Please explain to me how this all happened.
So in terms of debating in general, I've been doing it for the past 5 years. So I started off in year 7. And initially I started debating not necessarily knowing about the benefits, but I started it because I was quite a confident, talkative person, so I thought it's a good way to channel my speaking.
Yeah.
And when you go into debating, you actually find there's so much to it. It's not just enhancing your speaking skills, but also being able to empathise. And one thing with debating is when they give an emotion, if you have an initial instinct, I disagree or agree with this, you could get the complete opposite role to play.
Yeah.
So I think one thing is you understand why other people's have views that contradict yours, and I think that's definitely something that we need to address and something we need in society.
And I think it's so good, especially for as you're growing up, to go into something like this, because the good thing is you get to, when you're debating, I guess, you might be given a topic that you totally disagree with, and you might have to fight for it. You have to talk about the benefits and the positives of that topic. So it makes you think about both sides of the story, right?
Definitely.
That must be difficult, or is it just a skill that you learn?
For me personally, it's been a skill that you learn. And in terms of debating, a lot of practice means it kind of becomes like a second instinct. And then when you're debating with something you don't necessarily agree with, you think of what would the stereotypical arguments be if I was having an actual argument, because it's something I've got a strong opinion on. What would I expect the other person to say, and why are their opinions possibly stronger than mine? So I think that's important.
So I understand there were 2 topics that you had to cover.
Yeah.
What were they?
So the first one was, should the media have the right to publicise the private lives of celebrities? And I was on, they shouldn't be allowed. And the second motion was, should schools be allowed to serve junk food? And I was on, they shouldn't be allowed.
Okay. And then, is it right? So you explain to me how it works. So there's 50 schools that get involved.
Yeah.
And how do they whittle it down? Like to just you or one other? How does it work?
So what happens is they literally just choose 2 random schools. They give you a motion, 15 minutes preparation time. They tell you what side you're on, so you make up your arguments within those 15 minutes, and then it's from the get-go. And then you have another round, which they do another random school. And how they actually class who wins or comes second is they have a voting list, so that you're scored as teams and individually as well. And then that's where they kind of derive who came first, second, third, etc.
And how do you prepare for something like this? I know you're given 15 minutes, but you mentioned you practice, but what preparation goes into play?
I think the best preparation is acting like you're at a debate competition. So for me personally, in school, our teacher put us down. He was like, I'm going to give you a motion. You've got 15 minutes to go. So I think I honestly believe practice makes perfect. And with debating, if you're not a fluent speaker, it's going to be something that's more difficult, but anyone can do it. If you take the time out and if you've got the motivation and drive and you practice, then it kind of becomes a second instinct. You kind of come up with the arguments really quickly. You're quick with your thoughts. So yeah.
And can someone who has strong opinions but don't necessarily have the confidence do something like this?
Definitely. I don't see why not. A lot of people assume that you have to be those strong, confident people, extrovert people, but once you're given the platform, it's surprising how many people sort of use that to their advantage and thrive. If you're not confident with speaking, obviously you're going to need practice, but after a while you're going to become comfortable in that environment. You're going to become comfortable speaking to a large group of people.
Yeah.
So like I said, practice is definitely something that's quite important.
Now, Minhaj,
Yeah.
so how has it been for you? I mean, you've got a sister that's doing incredibly well. Are you involved in anything like this, or do you think you'll get involved?
Right now, I'm not particularly involved in anything, as in like, I don't do anything debating because like I'm not really interested in that side. Like when I'm older, I want to go into more of like a investment banking side.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. But you must be very proud of your sister.
Yeah, I'm very happy for her.
Yeah. And can you see, have you always known your sister to be this confident? Does she always win arguments with you?
No.
No. Then I think you should join debating if she doesn't. Oh, okay. So we're going to go on to, I guess, family. How important has the support of your family been in you doing so well in this?
I think without my mum and dad and their drive, I definitely wouldn't be. I think one thing that's quite important is you get the support system in school and your friends definitely, but nothing's as important as your family being behind you and telling you can do anything. Like a lot of it's been concentrated on the fact that my parents didn't get the best of upbringings or the best education, but they've always been there behind me saying, you can do it, or we'll be behind you. My dad's always there like, anything you need, I'm here. He's always like, you've got an opinion, make sure it's not something that's put aside, make sure you have something to say, and always actively participate. So something they've always had is a strong educational drive, both me and in my brother. And I think one thing is they don't set expectations for us. They're like, whatever you do, we'll be happy in that as long as you're showing us that you have a passion for what you do. And that's one thing that's been instilled in my household.
And that's so important. And you're very lucky to have parents like that. Not everyone has parents like that. The other thing, it's worth noting, and I know I spoke to you about it earlier, but one of the things about some of the mainstream media is they have highlighted your parents and you coming from an immigrant background. To me, that shouldn't even come into it. To me is you're talented, you're a woman, that young woman who's going into one of the most prestigious schools in the country, and you're standing up against all these people that they've had that type of education. I've read some of the comments, and I think you have to be pretty tough and strong to deal with some of the negative stuff that I've seen in mainstream media. How have you dealt with some of the comments?
I think me personally, I tell myself, whether you make a negative or positive contribution, there's always going to be people, there's always going to be backlash, there's always going to be people making negative comments. I think the best thing is ignoring it and acknowledging the fact that, I've done something great. And I think one important thing is if you've got self-belief, then no one's going to sort of take that down or destroy that. I think I've done something good. So I don't focus on what the media's saying, but rather the achievement I've made. But I kind of ignore it. It's not something I see and I don't get sad over it. I think there's always going to be someone, always going to be someone hating. You kind of just ignore it and get on with it.
Do you know what? You're so inspiring. That's so good to hear, because it is tough, out there. What are your plans? What's next for you?
So I plan to study history at Oxford, and after that I'm looking into careers in law, but I'm also considering finances, or I haven't kind of limited myself into. A lot of people are saying, you're going to become this great barrister. It's definitely something I'd consider, but I haven't limited myself in terms of ambition or where I'd like to go.
And the truth is, if you go to Oxford, doors will open for you.
Definitely.
So, and also you don't need to make a decision right now. You've just turned 17, so you've got enough time. I think, you know, if you were, and I know I said this earlier to the guest that we had before, if you were to give advice to anybody that's sitting at home right now and, you know, they're looking at you and they're probably feeling inspired that they would like to do something like this, you know, is it important for individuals to get involved in clubs at school and do extracurricular activities?
I think definitely, because it gives you the platform and it takes you places. A lot of people think, right, a club is going to be, you know, that extra hour, where's it going to get me? But if you look at the way it actually sort of develops you as a person, even if you're not going out to competitions, you're gaining that experience for something later in life that you might come across, and then you think, you know what, because I've gone to clubs and attended all of these extra sessions, I'm stronger and I'm more developed in that field. So I think clubs are something that's sort of taken for granted in general, because we think, oh, it's just another thing after school, but I think that definitely helps.
It's not
you.
just about reading books, it's actually...
There's so much more
there's
to
so
it.
much more to what you need when you actually do leave school and pursue other things. Listen, Selena, thank you so much for coming in. It's been a pleasure having you here. You're an inspiration to so many people out there, and I'm really proud of you. And I'm so glad that you've come in and taken the time to spend some time with us.